It all began with a text from my wife Vanessa. "I have an invitation on party tonight. You should not be there." She addressed in a short revealing dress, clearly expecting me to react with jealousy, anger, or pleading. I simply typed back, "Understood," calm, collected, and unbothered. I didn't give her the emotional response she craved. Vanessa believed her exclusion would give her control, making her the center of attention while I remained sidelined. But I had a plan, one she couldn't anticipate. I knew the key players, friends, colleagues, and most importantly, her boss's wife, Claire. A woman Vanessa had always underestimated. Within the hour, I would arrive at the party, not as an outsider, but as someone in control. Someone who could quietly dismantle her perfect facade without a single raised voice. Vanessa's night of dominance was about to backfire spectacularly. I arrived at the party calm and confident, dressed sharply. Guests welcomed me warmly, treating me as an honored guest. Claire, Vanessa's boss's wife, stood beside me, smiling politely, completely unaware of the role she would play. Vanessa, spotting us together, froze instantly. Her confident smirk vanished. She had assumed that excluding me would guarantee attention, admiration, and dominance. But the opposite happened. The subtle shift in power was immediate. Guests began whispering, eyes darting between us and Vanessa. The woman who thought she controlled the night was now powerless, exposed in plain sight. My calm presence, combined with Claire's elegance and poise, made Vanessa's panic visible to everyone. She hadn't anticipated that her audacity could be countered not with drama, but with composure, strategy, and subtle alliances. Within minutes, her perfect life began crumbling in front of witnesses. Vanessa tried to regain her composure by laughing loudly and attempting small talk, but her efforts were forced, unnatural, and entirely ineffective. Guests noticed her anxious glances, her forced movements, and her desperate attempts to redirect attention. Meanwhile, I remained calm, interacting naturally with attendees, letting subtle glances and quiet charms speak for themselves. Claire's presence reinforced my quiet authority, a contrast that made Vanessa's panic even more obvious. She realized that her provocative outfit, which she had assumed would command control, now highlighted her vulnerability. Every step she took, every gesture betrayed desperation. Her perfectly planned image of dominance and allure had collapsed within minutes. Vanessa had underestimated the power of composure, the quiet influence of alliances, and the visibility of presence. What she thought would be her night of power had turned into a personal nightmare. She couldn't escape. 15 minutes into the party, Vanessa's panic was undeniable. She tried approaching me, whispering sharply, "What are you doing?" Step away from her. I smiled politely, kept my distance, and replied softly, "Just enjoying the evening." Guests nearby noticed her agitation. The contrast between my calm, collected demeanor and her visible anxiety was clear to everyone. Vanessa had assumed that her provocative dress and audacious behavior would allow her to dominate the room. But her strategy had failed completely. I hadn't shouted, argued, or caused a scene. Yet, her perfect illusion of control was shattered. Claire's poised presence beside me only amplified Vanessa's growing panic. Her carefully constructed facade built on charm, manipulation, and provocation was unraveling before the audience she had hoped to impress. She had no script, no escape, and no power in this moment. Vanessa tried desperately to redirect attention by mingling with other guests, laughing louder, and positioning herself strategically. But every move she made was noticed as clumsy and forced. The more she tried, the more obvious her panic became. Meanwhile, I remained composed, engaging naturally with others, letting subtle gestures, smiles, and conversation establish authority. Claire's presence beside me reinforced the lesson. Alliances and calm confidence can dismantle audacity in minutes. Guests began whispering, intrigued by the visible shift in dynamics. Vanessa realized that her provocative dress, intended to intimidate or manipulate attention, now only highlighted her miscalculation. Her night of assumed control had turned into a lesson in humility. She had underestimated me and the subtle power of presence, composure, and strategic thinking. Her perfect world of influence and dominance had begun collapsing. and there was nothing she could do to reverse it. Vanessa's panic escalated as she noticed the whispers and glances directed at her. She tried to confront me again, whispering, "Why are you doing this? You're humiliating me." I responded calmly, "I'm just enjoying the evening." The words themselves weren't aggressive, but the quiet confidence behind them spoke volumes. Guests noticed, and the shift in power was unmistakable. Vanessa's perfect control, an image crumbled visibly. Every subtle gesture she made highlighted desperation. Her provocative dress, once a symbol of power, now emphasized her vulnerability. My calm strategy, quiet confidence, and careful alliance with Claire had dismantled her audacious plan. Without a single dramatic outburst, Vanessa realized too late that her audacity had consequences, and that attempting to manipulate or exclude someone who stays composed could completely backfire. Within minutes, her night of dominance had become a spectacle of failure. By the later part of the evening, Vanessa's composure was gone. She floated from guest to guest, forcing smiles and conversation. But the whispers, the glances, and the contrast with my calm presence made her desperation obvious. Claire remained gracious and poised, further highlighting Vanessa's unraveling. Guests recognized the dynamic. Audacity countered by quiet composure. Arrogance met with subtle strategy. Vanessa's perfectly curated evening had turned into a lesson in humility. Her provocations, her attempts to dominate, and her exclusionary tactics were now her undoing. I didn't need confrontation. I didn't need drama. Presence, calm authority, and strategic alliances did all the work. The contrast between her panic and my quiet power left an indelible mark, not only on Vanessa, but on everyone in the room. Her perfect world had collapsed in a matter of minutes. When the party ended, Vanessa left early, her confidence shattered, her smile gone. She had realized too late that her provocative outfit and audacious behavior had backfired completely. I exited with Claire, calm, poised, and respected, while Vanessa became the example of misjudged audacity. That night, she learned that quiet composure, strategic action, and subtle alliances wield far more power than provocation and drama. Her carefully built image of dominance, allure, and control had been dismantled in just 15 minutes. Vanessa would never forget the lesson. Audacity alone cannot guarantee power, and testing someone who remains calm and strategic can lead to complete, undeniable collapse. Her perfect world had been exposed quietly, but completely before everyone she thought she controlled.